Central Bank Governor of Lebanon addressed the Lebanese people on May 2nd, 2020. He was intending to comfort them that he had complied with all requirements. He explained that the audited statements were issued and the report was made by the auditors Deloitte and Ernst & Young, both international organizations. He repeated the word transparency more than 4 times in his speech. Unfortunately, the independence of both firms is highly likely to have been impaired for having been there since the governor started working at the central bank, which is more than 25 years. Not only did they audit the central bank's financial statements, they also audited the financial statements of companies related to the central bank, like Casino du Liban, Middle East Airlines, Intra Bank, and many related companies to those companies. The credibility of these audit reports issued by both auditors were definitely questioned when the government of Lebanon decided on March 23, 2020, to appoint other auditors to do the audited financial statements and to have a separate, different audit of audited statements from the past, but more in a forensic accounting fashion, a type of investigation. The financial statements were available for 2018. We looked at those statements and we found that Lebanon had reached a default on its debt for the first time in the history of the country, and there was no going concern or any issue mentioned in the 2018 report, which was issued in 2019. Several international newspapers started since more than a year ago describing the collapse as due to a failing or decomposing Ponzi scheme. Was there a Ponzi scheme at the Central Bank of Lebanon? With an intentional disregard to the law and to the decision of the Council of Ministers, who must have the authority over the central bank, the governor refused to cooperate with the contracted auditors, even after a recommendation from the Lebanese parliament. The audit report for the year ended December 31st, 2018 highlights some dangerous issues that are at least irregularities. With just a simple qualification, the auditors pointed out that they were unable to conduct a physical inventory observation of the gold held by the bank due to limitations related to a complex accessibility policy, which gives access exclusively to top executives of the bank, and no alternative auditing procedures were performed. The audit opinion also stated several bases for qualifications, which were detailed as accounts in the notes to financial statements that are the responsibilities of the bank and the governing body. One of them described a scheme of redeeming certificates of deposits at a premium to be amortized after being recorded in the balance sheet in the account deferred interest expense and other finance costs. In 2016, the premium was almost 100% the value of the nominal amount. In 2017, it was more than 50% of the nominal value. In 2018, it was a premium at 150% of the nominal value of the certificates of deposits redeemed. Such untraditional transactions were authorized in April 11, 2018, according to the audited report, but they were applied since at least 2015, according to previous audit reports and financial documentation. The redemption of the CDs was used and implemented according to the decision made in April 2018, which was also used to cover another type of transaction named seigniorage on currency, treasury bills, and financial stability. Mostly, the decision taken in April 2018 was needed for the central bank decision to cover the tampering in the accounts, to hide the Ponzi scheme, and to capitalize losses of the bank from extra spending and from the financial engineering scheme, which transferred public money to the banks as their own profits and their own private money, without recording them as debt payments from the government account. Did the central bank intend to create the default of Lebanon on its debt? Was Lebanon's money embezzled by the knowledge and the cover-up and the cooperation of the central bank governor and those charged with governance with him? With major international newspapers like the New York Times, the Financial Times, and the Economist repeating months after months that their accusations of a Ponzi scheme, I wonder what evidence did the Economist need at hand to state what kind of government leaves a mountain of explosive chemicals lying around unsafely for the better part of a decade. Obviously, this was written August 6, 2020, after the explosion of Beirut. They state the same kind that cannot agree on a budget for 11 years and that lets its central bank run a Ponzi scheme to defend its unrealistic currency peg. They go on to talk about additional spending that is unnecessary beyond the ability of the country to collect charges and taxes. At the same time, with the president of France received in Lebanon by the government and the people as their favored ally, state, as mentioned in the Financial Times on September 29, 2020, on Sunday, Mr. Macron compared Lebanon's banking system to a Ponzi scheme. He has called for more transparency in a financial system shrouded by secrecy laws, as once illustrious, now illiquid lenders contend with threats of government-led downsizing and restructuring. The governor of Lebanon on May 2nd, 2020, assured the Lebanese people of transparency. Would the President Macron mention what he did without a mountain of evidence? It is clear then why a weak central governor facing highly likely prosecution would obstruct the implementation of the forensic accounting and the financial audit by firms other than the one that he selects, decided and approved by the parliament. He would definitely want to obstruct such evidence from coming into the hands of the concerned judiciary. If the government of Lebanon cannot force the governor to comply with audit requirements, who forced the governor to overborrow and pay high interest and perform swaps that lead to a collapse?